Great Scott! It's the British Baseball Podcast! I'm going to catch it now and in the future.
Hello, baseball family. Today's special guest has appeared in movies such as Cats, The Conjuring 2, and also a fantastic little TV show on Netflix called Hilda, and is currently appearing on stage as Doc Brown in the West End stage production of Back to the Future. I might also add in there, he also plays for a little baseball team called Hearts Baseball Club. Welcome to the show, Cory English. Cory, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you very much for having me, Matt. Two of my favorite subjects, baseball and the arts. So this is amazing.
Yeah, so where should we start first? I suppose we should start at the very beginning with your good self. So let's get into it. What was your home and family life like, and how were you brought into the world of baseball?
So I grew up in upstate New York, Rochester, outside of Rochester, the rural part of Rochester. And I got three older brothers and my mom and dad. My dad is a huge sports fan, basically baseball, basketball, and American football. And that was it. And he played that all throughout his high school. They only had, in his whole high school, they had 22 boys. So all the boys had to play all the sports. And in American football, there's usually there's 11 aside. But their school was so small that they played with 6 aside. So, but my dad just always loved farming and sports. So when he moved closer to Rochester, he started the recreation program. He was a construction worker. He worked on the bulldozers and the backhoes. And he came back from the Korean War and went to this small town. And he said, this town needs baseball fields. So he made the baseball fields. So when I was born, 3 older brothers, 12, 10, and 8 years older than me, it was, teach the little kid how to play basketball, baseball, American football, WWE wrestling as well. They beat the crap out of me. I loved the attention. Absolutely loved it. So, and we were lucky enough to have a basement. So I would go down there, play basketball, play baseball all day long in my own world. I would pretend for hours. I was the Harlem Globetrotters. Yeah, I was Mickey Rivers, back the center fielder for the Yankees back in the mid 70s, the late 70s. I was them. And so that's kind of sports and acting started out quite young. I didn't know that then, but now looking back and I see my 10-year-old doing the exact same thing, I'm like, nah, we could have one or the other here, actor or athlete. So I love it. Yeah, that's kind of my start. And then when school sports started up, I was right at the front of the line, like, sign me up. I can't wait to play. So recreational baseball, middle school baseball, basketball, high school baseball, basketball, American football. I started getting a little too small for American football, so it was just baseball and basketball. And then this family friend came up to me and she said, Cory, you'd be a good dancer. And I said, really? Okay. So I start taking ballet class just because she told me to. I always liked singing, but she said I'd be good. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And then, I'm the only boy amongst all these girls. It was a it's a lovely thing. And I wasn't very good at dancing. It took a little while. And I remember the girls just sitting there waiting for me to get the dance step right before they could move on. They've been dancing since they were 4. I started at 13. So, they were absolutely, I think they were upset with the teacher, like, why did you bring him in our class? So, but they were I'm still friends with all those gals today. So I would then dance. I would go to basketball and baseball practice in my tights, in my burgundy leg warmers and my white tights. I would pump gas in my car in my tights and my leg warmers. I'd go to basketball practice. The coach would say, warm up the team, kid. So I would warm up the basketball team out of my tights by then. But my whole team never picked on me. They always supported me. And most of the times, you know, I'd get bullied. Most dancers at that age, are boy dancers, would get bullied. I don't know what it was. I got a great bunch of friends back then. So that was wonderful.
Why do you think that was? I mean, I was really expecting that story to go the wrong way, and now, like, luckily in today's times, people are a bit more forgiving and accepting, and it's not sort of looked upon or sort of seen as a weird thing to have a male wanting to dance and be a dancer. That's quite refreshing to hear that it was quite accepted.
Yeah, I asked them at our last reunion. I was like, guys, why didn't you bully and pick on me, you know, at all? They're like, I don't know. We could have. But I don't know. I was hanging out with their girlfriends. I had my own girlfriend. I was good on the basketball court and the baseball field. And so they almost like respected me and like, boy, I wish I could, you know, be as athletic.
Do you think having that background in dance made you a better athlete?
Most definitely. And I think the other way around as well, because my build, I'm 5'5". I'm not quite. I've never had a 6-pack. At one point in my life, I had a 4-pack, and that was it. I've always been a bit stocky. I had one dance teacher look at my belly and goes, "We need to move this up here." So he wanted me to get strong because I was a bit thick around the middle. It never actually happened. And in high school, I still wasn't that great of a dancer. I was obviously better than anybody else in the area dancing. I had one teacher from Canada. He came down from Toronto, and my dance teacher said, "Hey, what do you think about Cory?" And the guy said, "Don't encourage him to dance. Whatever you do, don't encourage him. His feet are horrible. He's got no flexibility, and he's quite short." So cut to 5 years later, my dance teacher sees this guy from Toronto again. And the guy goes, "Hey, whatever happened with that Cory kid?" "Well, he's dancing on Broadway." So he went, you never know. You just never know.
Do you think that sort of negative feedback that you got from your peers helped to spur you on and push you even harder?
Well, funny enough, my dance teacher never told me that advice that she got from that guy. Yeah, she never told me until I was in the Broadway show.
Wow.
So there was a huge thing between baseball and dancing. So this wonderful dance teacher I had, I became a demonstrator. So I worked for her basically, and I helped teach the little kids. And she said you could do one extracurricular activity. I loved basketball, so I played basketball, and then I did the musical, which was an extracurricular activity. And so here comes the spring. It's baseball season, and I'm in my 5th, 6th game of the season. And she said, "Cory, why should I let you do 3 extracurricular activities and the girls only do 1? It's not fair. And the girls are right when they're complaining." So I had to call up my baseball coach, and I had to quit. Now, Matt, I was bawling, crying. I'm crying right now just thinking about it. I was, I gotta quit. I want to be a dancer. He goes, "Well, it sounds like you don't want to quit." no, I have to. I want to go to New York and be a dancer. And so he goes, oh, okay, Cory, it's no problem. No problem whatsoever. I wish you all the best. He was also my math teacher. So
Hmm.
it was, he totally let me off the hook and he understood. And all of his trips to New York City, we'd go to the Yankee games together and he'd see me in the Broadway shows. And it was a lovely relationship right till the end of his life. So, yeah, that one hurt when I had to quit baseball to choose. And that's when I had to choose.
How did you prepare to make that decision then? Because a lot of the youngsters that will be listening to the podcast will no doubt have to make those difficult. I said difficult. That's based off a Bluey episode. Any parents out there that watch Bluey will know difficult. I was going to say difficult or tricky, and it came out as difficult. But I've been saying
it was difficult. Let me tell you. I think my desire to look at dancing as a career helped, and I thought, gosh, baseball, that's tough. Dancing is just as tough, but I thought baseball was even farther of a long shot. I did think in the back of my head maybe I'd be a PE teacher. If I couldn't dance, I probably would have been a PE teacher. But then university would have been calling, and my grades were not. I was not academic at all. What I was blessed physically and athletically made up for all the academic brainy stuff. So I'd say that the desire to, as a career, was that for me anyway. Interesting. So my son Cosmo, he plays baseball and football and he dances. And last year he made the GB under 12 team.
Oh, well done.
And they were off to go to Austria. And he's got 2 more years of eligibility. And I thought, you know what? I think he should do his dance show this year. He didn't choose, I did.
How did that conversation go? Because again, I'm guessing that is again conversations that many parents will have to have with the kids at some point.
Well, with the kind of the end of COVID and financially, that trip would have been costly. Theater wasn't up and running, and we thought, well, let's stay home. And this dance show only happens every other year, so it was, we had to weigh out the options. So hopefully he makes the team this year, and we'll get another opportunity to travel. So, and he just went to Spain with the QPR, so that was a good traveling experience. So I think hopefully the GB traveling would be a lot of fun too.
Yeah, well, from speaking to people involved in the program, it seems like a great trip and an experience all around. From watching the games and the lead up to it, I've interviewed people about lead up to the games and the preparation stuff to go into. It sounds like a great environment to learn and thrive.
Yeah, and then get to travel and see a foreign country is tip of the iceberg. That's fantastic.
Yeah, indeed. So where else has dancing and baseball taken you? You be able to pass on those experiences to your son and say this is what you can look forward to. You must have seen some things in your time.
So once I moved to New York and I started doing Broadway shows, there was a league called the Broadway Show League, and it's a Broadway softball league. And as soon as I found out, after I got my first Broadway show, and they said, Cory, do you play baseball, softball? I went, hell yeah. They're like, well, come out on Thursdays and we'll play. And then I became what they call a park rat, where you look for a pickup softball game, baseball game, any chance you get, you just hang in the park and you get picked on a team. I was playing 2-3 times a week in Central Park and playing for these leagues. And at the same time, we're networking in the, everybody's in show business, and there was TV, film, theater, just a chance for show business to step aside so we could play the game. But at the same time, we were making friends and sometimes getting jobs on the baseball field.
Is this where you're telling me that Neil Patrick Harris could have made a great shortstop?
Yes. Let's see. Gregory Hines was out there once. I think Neil Patrick Harris was out there as well, I want to say.
Yeah.
Because he was in New York doing theater. Some of the bigger names, they didn't like to come out because if they got hurt. And
you don't want to knock up the moneymaker.
Few chorus girls and boys who turned some ankles, and producers were not happy at that. And there were three leagues. There was the local one, the Teamsters, you know, the stagehands. That was a tough league. And there was actors and crew. And then the first league was the basically beginners and cast, actors, dancers. So we had 3 different choices, and I played in both the beginners and the advanced. So for me, the sports and the arts, they do go together, and that's what I will pass on to my kids, and even the little league that I coach now. I'll always be, arts and sports.
That's cool. How did your parents sort of react to the decision to pick that? Like you said that your dad was really into sports and it was really small community.
Yeah, it took about 5 years into New York. He said, Cory, I always wanted to be a dancer. I went, what? You never told me that. Yeah. I wanted to be a dancer because in those days it was, Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire, and he, loved him. And he was very smooth with my mom on the dance floor. But and then after he said that, he asked me to teach him tap dancing. I was like, yeah. So he found some old taps of mine, put them on some of his shoes, and we went down in the basement and we started tap dancing together. It was a great moment.
I find it really interesting that this journey so far. It is really good. Did you know that there used to be a baseball team called the London Thespians from the 1800s?
No.
Yeah. And that was a team basically made up of actors in the arts. Let me see if we're going to get this open for you. This will make great radio. The Thespians, as the name denotes, were formed amongst various music hall artists on the day. The Buffalo Bills were the performers in Buffalo Bill Cody Wilde's West Show.
Wow.
In 1893, the Thespians won the national baseball title and followed this up again in 1894. There was a player called R.G. Knowles, who by some accounts first moved to London in 1891. And he organised baseball as early as 1889, setting up games in Battersea Park, which they were promptly shut down by the police. Contrary to popular opinion, the club was not solely populated by American ball players, as proved by the scorecard printed in the same edition of the Music Hall and Theatre Review, which shows that in right field for the Thespians was London-born and bred Wal Pink, renowned singer and songwriter of the time. Knowles was a second baseman and sometimes a pitcher, and he's also in the British Baseball Hall of Fame. He was inducted in 2012 as a game builder. And that information comes courtesy of the Folkestone Baseball Chronicle, which is anyone that's on Facebook or Twitter should follow and get involved with his baseball history. So there you go.
Wow. I love it.
That's the team. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love it. Gosh. The Buffalo Bills are my favorite, football team.
Oh, are they? I was a
Rochester,
Dolphins fan.
Wait. There's a Rochester, New York. Players.
Yeah.
New York. Elmira, New York. What?
There you go.
Oh my God. What is that about?
Yeah, so you got the Wild West Club, and then you got the Thespians. R. Kelly of Rochester, New York, is a pitcher.
Yeah.
Wally Pink, who said before, pitcher in relief. Jay Ashby of Rochester, New York, catcher. J. Marco, ditto. Oh, ditto, being underneath. What a Burke. Now I'll be quitting that out, centre field. R.G. Knowles, New York, second base. F. Halter, Canton, Ontario, left field. T. Ardell.
Those are all
Evanville.
Western New York. Those are all people from Western New York. Outrageous, except for the one London guy, Wall Pink.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is awesome.
I'm glad I could
Wow.
bring that to people. So our missions is to try and get as many people to see Project Copper as possible. Yeah, so I think that's really exciting that these pickup games are happening, and then we've got the actors of the 1800s there doing
Wow.
baseball in this country.
There was a West End show league when I moved over here in 2002, and my first West End show was in 2002, 2003. And someone said, "Do you play baseball?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they said, "We go to Primrose Hill and we play baseball there, softball." So I went there, and I may have got MVP that year. I don't know.
Not that you're going to brag like.
Yeah, and I still have the trophy, which I should have returned, but the league kind of ended after that year. I don't know what happened to it. I think they have pickup matches here and there, but yeah.
That's ace. I was going to ask you how you managed to find baseball over here. But was it acting that brought you over to? Well, I'm guessing it wasn't your love of British baseball in 2002 that brought you over to the country. Was it acting that brought you over this side of the pond?
Right. So I did about 12 years in New York City. When I turned 30, I was looking at the fat old character men, and maintaining the dancer's body was quite tough for me. So I'm looking at those fat old character men, and I went, I think that's going to be me. That's going to be me. I better learn how to act. So, because what I was doing, I was getting some roles, but most of it was these short athletic dancers, butch little athletic dancers. That was my kind of pigeonhole, and that's what I kept working in. So then I thought, you know what, I better look into acting. So I did, and I found a 1-year postgraduate course in Ealing Drama Studio London, and that brought me over, which is when I met this girl in Scene Study 2, and yeah, that's what. And then we were pretty serious, and so, but I still didn't really want to move to London, so I moved back to New York, and we made sure we saw each other every 6 to 8 weeks. So we're pretty committed that way. And then September 11th happened, and September 13th, I bought the diamond ring, and I proposed in October, and then we got married in January 2002, and moved here then, and pretty much became a Brit right away. So that's what brought me here. When I was studying, I was learning my lines down in Richmond, along the river. I think my wife Sarah, she said, girlfriend then, she said, go down to Richmond Park. You're gonna love it there, and just go along the river. So I'm learning my lines, and I look up and I see a frickin' baseball field. I said, no way, can't be. So I stopped learning my lines. I'm standing behind the backstop, and the coach then was a guy named, oh my God, I'm gonna kill myself here. Oh, what was his name? I really liked him. It wasn't Neil. Sorry, it might come to me later. He comes over to me, goes, "You must be American." I said, "What? Yeah, how do you know?" Well, you're watching. So I said, yeah, I love baseball. Well, we're playing the American College next Saturday. Do you want to come and play with them? Because they're going to need some extra players. Yeah. So, and then after that, I got asked to play for the Richmond Flames, which I thought was a very interesting name, the Flames. So that's what started my British baseball, my introduction to British baseball. And then when I did move over here in 2002, I started playing for Richmond Flames. They had a great pitcher, Joey, and they had a good catcher. I forgot his name. And games were good because you need a good pitcher and a catcher at single A baseball in Britain. That's the key. Or you're gonna have a long day. So when I came over on the Sundays, I was playing the games on the Sundays, and to get down to Richmond or an away match, I didn't drive then. It was just a long day. Sometimes it would go 8-9 hours, and unfortunately, Matt, the end of my Richmond Flames career ended in, I was playing shortstop. There was, oh, this is gonna make me sound like a twat.
Go on.
I'm playing shortstop. There's no outs. There's a man on first and second, right? The ball's hit to the third baseman. What does he do? Throws the ball over first base. Like, oh. So then, a few runs score. Okay, fine. But the coach uses this phrase that I don't like here in Britain sometimes. Unlucky. And I'm like, dude, that ain't unlucky. That's not knowing baseball. That's not unlucky. So that was my final day, and I think I got an allotment after that. I was newly married, and it was it was 10 hours on the Sunday, and it was taking up a lot of my the family time.
Yeah.
So that was the end of my Richmond Flames career after that.
Oh, what a shame.
But then I didn't have the patience. I was still wanting to play baseball. I didn't mind teaching and coaching and helping when I could, but now I love helping out. And do you know what? When that stuff happens, now I'm saying unlucky. So, but at the time, I had trouble taking in the unlucky phrase.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I think I should let you know, Matt, about this one show that I did.
Yeah.
On Broadway, and it's a show called Damn Yankees.
Okay.
And it's a show about the Washington Senators, and I'm sure most of your listeners know about the Washington Senators. Probably. Yeah. So they could never beat the Yankees. They were at the bottom, and so someone made a musical about that team, and one older gentleman sells his soul to the devil to be able to be the home run hitter for the Washington Senators, and so it's a great musical, and I got to be a part of that one of the original cast, and we started in San Diego. Before that was our out of town tryout before we moved to New York. So the producers have to train the dancers in how to play baseball. Now, obviously, the choreographer knew that I played baseball, and there was another guy who played baseball, and we looked the part, which is why I got the part. So the producers brought in a coach from the Oakland A's and their physical trainer. So I'm in heaven. Here I am with a Major League Baseball coach, and they're taking us to the stadiums. They're giving us tours. They're introducing us to players. It was just amazing. And then I'm actually still friends with their trainer now. He's retired. He was with the Yankees, the A's, and then ended with the LaRusso and with the Cardinals. And so that whole thing with McGuire hitting those home runs, I was going to those games. I got to meet Ricky Henderson. It really some great Eckersley. I'm at Eckersley with his arm and ice. Great players. And then got to hang out with LaRusso at dinner. We all had dinner. And he brings up the lineup for the next day, and he goes, "You think I should who do you think should I have batting cleanup tomorrow? McGuire's out, so he's starting to talk the lineup with us, with these, chorus girls and, me and another guy. It was a lot of fun, and just being able to brush shoulders with that at that level of baseball was so much fun. The 69 Mets came to see the show. And then afterwards, we all went to the bar afterwards. They signed my Mets hat. Tug McGraw was there. Just all these baseball players were coming to see Damn Yankees, the biggest hit on Broadway at the time. And the whole cast waiting there with our baseballs at the end of the show, and we would sign their programs, and they would sign our baseballs. It was another great moment where my baseball and dance, the arts, came together for me.
Like it opened a lot of doors for you that you probably would never have had the chance to. I mean, some impressive names and people you've had dinner with. I mean, how many people listening would give an arm and a leg to sit with some of the favorite players and just talk sports with them? And that's really cool.
Yeah. And my bar league in New York, the owner of the bar he loved his baseball. And you could get some ringers in, and he got Tom O'Malley, who played professional baseball, and he retired. And he went, "Tom, do you want to come play for our Tuesday league in New York at Central Park?" He went, "Yeah, all right." Mm-hmm. And just to watch him hit the ball, oh my God, never seen anybody hit a softball, and especially in New York in Central Park. They're called clincher balls, and they soften up after, by the end of the first inning, they're a little softer, but we don't want the balls to go too far because you got 6 fields all tight together. You'd be playing center field on one field, but be on second base with your back to the batter. So you needed a little bit of, every crack of the bat, you're just like, whoa, they're going to hit us. So you didn't want the balls to be too hard, or someone's gonna get hurt. But he still clocked these balls. Oh my God,
that's cool. So I'd like to know what happened after the Flames. How long was the period of time before you got back onto a baseball field over here?
It really, I want to say it was 2017. So I started having kids in 2006. Mm-hmm. Now, when he was 18 months, he was hitting the ball. He was hitting the wiffle ball. I was pitching it to him, and he was hitting it. And my 10-year-old, same thing. At 18 months, they had the bat in their hand. So I was always playing with them, and we would go to a local park. And one Sunday, I drive by our local park, which is literally 3 minutes away, and I see the Hertfordshire Hearts team is playing in my park, and I didn't know who the Hertfordshire Hearts was, and so I absolutely couldn't believe it. So I ran over. So what's going on? And I met a few of the guys, and I was like, oh my God, I need to be a part of this. So I joined. And I started playing a little bit in 2018. I still couldn't commit to the Sundays because I was doing shows.
Yeah.
But I was going to the midweek training and doing that, and so I didn't actually play in any games until just when lockdown opened up. We were in between period, and I had loads of free time. So that's when I started to commit to the youth league and the adult league. And I met, so I took my 7-year-old then, Cosmo, to the UK Academy, which is an under 10 coach pitch league that we were going to do a traveling team to Czechoslovakia. And I met Matt and Lee Manning, who said, Aspie is your guy to get, the little league coaching going. Aspie will help you set up. And he did. Aspie is an amazing man, running the Hertfordshire Hearts Club. I think I don't know, I've lost count of how many teams we have now, Matt. We've got quite a few.
I think there's about 5 last time I counted.
5 adult teams, and then we got our Hemel Hempstead from under 15, under 13, under 11s there, and then we got the same thing here in at Basing Hill Park. So it's all going on. It's very, very exciting, which comes to my crux now. I'm very happy to be getting back to the future. I love my role as Doc Brown, but it puts a little spanner in my baseball life. So to choose again, unfortunately, baseball is out and show business is in.
Yeah.
So so my Saturdays I have a matinee at 2:30, and then on Sundays I have a matinee at 3. Maybe I could go in and pitch some, because also if I get hurt, one little twinge could make a show very difficult. And also when I'm on the baseball field, I do a lot of shouting. So that won't help my voice much for my matinee.
No, guess not.
Yeah.
I suppose like actors have their rituals and their little things to do before they go on stage. Do you have any of those? And do you do the same when you go on the baseball field? Any rituals?
No, I don't. I think no rituals, so to say, but I get nostalgic. And so I think about my dad playing or me playing in Central Park. Those thoughts and those memories come up that I'm just happy to be out on the field playing. Even when I play baseball or basketball with my boys, it's just all of those memories and generations of my families and those young kids I used to play with when I was 8, 10, 12 years old always kick in, and that can give me a boost.
Yeah.
And when I'm at the theater, funny enough, now I've got my MLB TV, and I do like to come off stage and listen to my baseball games, and just listening to it on the radio. I don't watch so much, but I might, because I think I'm going to be in Back to the Future for a while. So I'll start watching the games. In the Broadway theaters, a lot of the crew, big Yankee fans. So we'd come off stage, and if you were off stage for 10, 15 minutes, you're watching the game with the crew. Literally, you walk off stage, you walk 10 feet, there's the crew room, there's the TV. You have to be quiet watching. You can, watch the game. So I do like to go into the theater, and I got my New York Yankees blanket on my chairs, and I surround myself with memorabilia. And now I'll have my the radio going on and listening to the Yankee game or any baseball, really. And it was interesting when I did that damn Yankees back in 1994. I listened to the commentary from the radio of the baseball games to get into the zone of the for the show. I would listen to it, and there I am pretending like I was 4 years old again, getting into that baseball world, which was heaven, really, to be able to join those two worlds.
That's really cool. Let's talk a bit then about Back to the Future. It is personally one of my favorite films. What was the biggest challenge about taking on the role of such an iconic character as Doc Brown?
Because there's a couple things. So Christopher Lloyd, obviously, iconic actor and role that he created with Bob Gale. Bob Gale, the writer, he thinks he is Doc Brown. He really loves this story. He really, because he even told me, he's like, really, Doc Brown is me. I was like, okay, great. So there was Christopher Lloyd. Now, I have played Igor in Young Frankenstein as well. And that's Marty Feldman, which is another iconic role. And I played Max Bialystock in The Producers, which is Zero Mostel, another huge, huge iconic role. So Christopher Lloyd, So now I'm used to it, and I realized that those guys, those iconic roles, did not have to sing it and dance it 8 times a week in front of thousands of people. So that's like you give you let yourself off the hook going, Marty Feldman, all he had to do was look at the camera and burst out laughing, right? I can't do that. The audience is so far away. I can't have my bulging thyroid eyes to get a laugh. So I gotta, do other things. So in that sense, I knew I could handle the Christopher Lloyd, God-like quality of a role, an actor. But then there was Roger Bart, who created the musical role of Doc Brown, and he's a funny mother, So, and I know Roger because he was my Dr. Frankenstein to my Igor on Broadway and a U.S. tour. So we knew each other for 2 years. We were hanging out all the time. So when taking over from him was quite a feat as well. Some big shoes to fill. So yeah, it was a bit of a challenge, but Bob Gale and the material, the car, the music, when it's that good, you really just have to trust the material, say the lines, and everything's going to be just fine. And of course, the comic timing, the rhythms that, Bob has set, like Mel Brooks's Yiddish rhythms, you just have to respect those, and it's going to be funny. It's going to work. I knew I had it in me, but those couple things were a bit of a challenge, and to just stay calm, trust the material, and it'll work.
That's cool. What do your teammates think about it? I mean, when you get on base, do you get a chorus of "Great Scots"?
No, I haven't played since getting the role. So I did it back in Thanksgiving and Christmas, which we weren't playing then. So yeah, I probably would be hearing some of that. But they were very excited for me, and they can't wait to come see me in the show now. So I can't wait to have them in my dressing room for a few brewskis.
That's cool. What for you then is your dream role as an actor?
I think I may have just found it. You just gave it to me, maybe. The London Thespians. How about that? That could be a series or a film. I think now, after playing Bialystok, Igor, and now Doc Brown, dream role, because those are pretty dreamy, I gotta say. So I would have to say it's not a role that's been written yet. I'll say this: my dream role, Matt, would be a role that would incorporate a baseball coach or a basketball coach and kids, because that is my passion right now. I love show business, but right now my kids and family are my passion. So to tell a story about that would be amazing.
That'd be cool. Have you managed to meet any of the original cast from the Back to the Future movie being involved in the production?
No, I've met Bob Gale, the creator.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were all over. Christopher Lloyd was over, but before I was around. I think I'd really like to meet Huey Lewis, because he's a big fan of the musical as well. So if he ever pops into London, I hope I get to see him.
That's brilliant. So,
and of course, Michael J. Fox. Michael J. Fox. I've
got his autobiographies here.
Yeah, I think I'll have to read that one. I haven't read that one. I love biographies.
Yeah, I've got quite a few. I'm about to get rid of some because my shelves are getting shorter. Getting more British baseball stuff on this bit, but most of it's wrestling autobiographies, which I think I've got some of the most mental stories. And just anything that's like from people that are like leaders. I had Johnny Wilkinson's. He was a former rugby player. I've got Jason Roberts.
Okay.
and Sam Allardyce, not so
Right.
leaderish. They've just got smaller and smaller. But yeah, I do like a good autobiography.
Older, like Buster Keaton and the older Charlie Chaplin. Those biographies are very cool. And when theater back then in the 1920s, for me is I love all that, and that vaudeville, the life of the actor back then, because we call this isn't politically correct anymore, and actually it's been changed in New York, but we Gypsy Rose Lee, being called a gypsy, actors, dancers, we'd call ourselves gypsies because we were always on the road traveling.
Right then. So as we sort of get towards the end of the conversation, you're right at the start of this. I do feel like we could have chatted for ages until you're due back on stage. So if you had the chance to put anything on billboards worldwide for the next week, what would it be?
Oh, wow, man. Interesting. That's a great question. Well, there's always that, but I could put him behind bars, Mr. Trump. But I think everybody else is taking care of that right now. Hopefully. I had the Yankees pop up in my head. Let's go Yankees. And then it was, then I should probably, advertise my show. Then I was like, no, baseball should be advertised. Let's put baseball out there. And then you go, oh, all of those things don't really matter when you think about, let's have peace in the Ukraine, and then like, well, let's feed the poverty. So there's like, I had all of these thoughts come through my head. And then in the end, maybe it's just learn about everybody else, learn about other cultures. It's not all about yours. Can I put all of that on one billboard?
Of course, Sean. Really small writing.
How big is this billboard?
Yeah. Right. Last question from me, and then it's time to sign off. If you had one wish for British baseball, what would it be? Well,
not realizing the wonderful thing that Drew Spencer has just done by leading that team, winning a game and qualifying for 2026, I probably would have said, let's get some more funding and bring some more attention to British baseball. And I think Drew has done that. So I guess my next wish is, I think we need a proper Brit playing in MLB, pitching on the mound, getting lots of attention, I think is something we need. And that could take a few years. Hopefully the funding that we get now from the World Baseball Classic can help get that 8-9-year-old the training that they're going to need. And hopefully that's mostly here in this country so that we train the Brits. I would love, because I went to ASPE and I said, look, we need to get the athletes here and let them play their football in the morning. And then in the afternoon, get them off their screens and get them out having fun playing baseball, having fun, maybe not so, determined to get to, the Little League World Series in Pennsylvania, but let's just go out them and show them how to have fun with a ball and a glove and a bat. That was I guess that's a few wishes to bring, MLB having a proper Brit and then getting some proper training. Well, we have proper training here already, but getting more kids to do both, play football and baseball, because there is the talent here, especially with the cricket and the athleticism of football. I think we could be better in the world in our baseball, and it's a great game. A great game.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, it's tradition on the show for the guests to have the final word. So, Cory, anything you want to leave us with? Any Any shout outs that you want to give, any parting advice or anything like that? The floor is all yours.
Well, I guess I'll carry on talking about Drew Spencer, and commend him for the great work that he did. And whoever, I'm sure he wasn't the only one making a lot of phone calls and putting that team together. So whoever helped him as well, bless you. And I guess we can't wait for 2026. Drew, my son Cosmo did a special for Channel 5 a few years back. I think it was during lockdown, and it was a program called Meet the Experts. And Cosmo got asked to be an expert in baseball. And so the crew came, and at the end of the episode, they offer Cosmo a treat or a challenge, and it was a treat. And so Drew Spencer came to an NBL game, MLB, National Baseball League, NBL League game. And Cosmo threw out the first pitch. He was a mascot. He was Bat Boy, and he had a great day. And then Drew Spencer came to the game, the wonderful man that he is, and he told Cosmo that he made the extended roster for the GB under 12 team. And so he is a really, really great guy, as well as leading the British baseball into the 21st century.
Yeah, that's awesome. What a great way to end the show. Cory, if anyone's interested in getting to see you on stage, whereabouts can they find you?
Back to the Future, the musical.com. It's at the Adelphi Theatre at London. And I would say that you can get tickets there at the box office, on the website of Back to the Future, and also Today Ticks do some good deals there as well. And if you want to be spontaneous and just go on the day you go, oh, I got the night free, Today Ticks also can do you a last minute deal if there's seats available. I have to brag a little bit. It is pretty hot ticket right now, so it's you may, if you can think in advance, you may want to book some tickets. So
awesome.
Any I'll sign any baseballs if there's people at the stage door. I did do this play once where there was they needed a baseball in the play, and I had to sign Mickey Mantle's autograph. It was so blasphemous. I was like, this is wrong. This is so wrong. Signing Mickey Mantle. Yeah. So I signed baseball.
Excellent. Cory, you've been a great guest there. What a great conversation. Matt. Thanks so much for your time, and all the best in the future. And hopefully I'll see you out there on the diamond one day. Yeah.